Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Life from the Inside Out with Kris. And I'm here with Serge, and I'm really excited for this episode. We had a really interesting conversation before we got on the air here. We're talking a little bit about moving and had some conversations in our Sunday group about when we move locations physically, how it represents kind of inner shifts. And just it was a really fascinating conversation in the morning and with Serge. And just who knows, maybe Kris will have something to say about that, Serge.
Well, why don't we find out?
All right.
That's the best way.
All right.
Unless you know another way. I don't know.
Not on this show, at least. That's why we're here.
Now we trust that you are comfortable.
Yes, Kris.
And we thank you for your consideration. Your consideration is very moving.
Thank you.
Now, in light of the discussion you had with Joseph before we began the taping, yes, just as you have furnishings in your physical life, whether it is at home, in your car, your environment, your work environment, you have all manner of objects. And these furnishings, in one form or another, are the physicalization of your own mental and psychological furnishings. And it certainly is most helpful once in a while to visualize, whether you call it self-hypnosis, meditation, the term is irrelevant. The idea, however, is important. And that is, every once in a while, just do a little inventory. You can ask your imagination to cooperate and say, I am going into my inner room and I want to see what kind of quote unquote furniture or furnishings I might like to move around, I might like to dispense with, or something new I might like to bring into the decor. And these are all representations of various emotional and feeling and imaginative states. So your inner house, your mental house, is your mindset. And all of the various psychological or ideological objects do take a life of their own in terms of your physicalized environment, including your physical body. So it is most helpful if once in a while you get into that kind of hypnagogic state and just move things around, do an inventory, or if you like, an audit, and see what you might like to dispense with, what you might like to keep, what you might like to move around. Perhaps there is something you want to renovate. You can be very creative. And the idea is that you are moving, displacing, transforming energy. And you are also doing the same when you are physically moving from one location to another. Now you have to figure out how to rearrange the furniture. Perhaps you might discover you have some furnishings too many. You might sell or give away or put at the curb. However you want to do that, you might have to go get something else. But these all represent various emotional and feeling states. And whenever a situation presents itself in that way, it is indeed a wonderful opportunity to allow, say, appreciation for the literal wonderment of how these things happen. And the way you went about it is also significantly important. To recognize that there might be a desire, there might be an intention, there will eventually be an end result, but you did not worry as to how the end result appears in your life. You more or less trusted the process, and it is an ancient process. It has existed before your species showed up, so to speak. It is part of the process that enabled your species to physicalize themselves. Did not worry about it. You had the desire, you had the intention, and you trusted that process. It usually works superbly, admirably so nicely when you don't begin to worry. And you did not. So trusting the process is important. It may take various individuals some amount of time to get into the zone. But once you practice getting into that zone, then you may see things shape up much more in alignment with your own values and intentions. And again, the problem starts showing up when you turn on anticipatory anxiety. You start to worry, well, do I have enough funds? What will happen to this? What will happen to that? And then difficulties start showing up. Challenges. So trusting the process is an age-old method of going with the flow. And it works stupendously nicely.
Yeah, and just to, I guess give the listeners or watchers a little bit of background too. We had incurred our car had broken, and we decided we were going to go out and get one of the cars that what we really wanted, but it meant a new car payment, and for that one was for a van, eight or $900 a month, and we're like, well, how are we gonna? Where's this gonna come from? And then this apartment or new house showed up that was about 1,500 a month less. And in the process of the car, even though there were several weeks that went by, I just said, I think something's going to happen. We're not going to worry about that. And so it just kind of evened out, and then that's the example Kris is using. So yeah, I kind of surprised myself a little in the process, Kris, because I'm not used to not worrying like that. So
neither is most of your species. In fact, if you take the following into consideration, it makes perfect sense. Do you have to worry how each breath is going to keep you alive? It is a natural, organic process. You do not have to worry if your eyes are seeing what you need to see to go through your daily activities, nor your ears, nor any part of your body. You do not have to give one iota of worry how your muscles are going to move your legs so you can move forward, backwards, or sideways, go up the stairs or down the stairs. If you did, you would not get very far. You would be overwhelmed because you do not consciously know how to do that. How do you do it then? Very simple. You have intention. You intend to get up from the couch, go to the kitchen, open the fridge, take out the ingredients to make a nice sandwich, and then once you are done assembling it, you go back to the couch and eat your sandwich. You did not have to figure out how to move the hands in cutting the lettuce or the tomatoes or the meat, whatever it is that you're putting together. You just go with your main intention. So it is a simple but very effective example of just how simple it can be to trust that your body is going to fulfill your intention. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I follow you there. You said something really interesting earlier too, when you were talking about moving the furniture around. And I was wondering if it would be beneficial to imagine our beliefs that we have about ourselves as particular furniture. You could almost see, like I was seeing, like assigning certain images and then rearranging them, or that could be a potential beneficial activity to change our
You're
mindset.
indeed it can. And you also can trust the process that your subconscious mind knows your intention before you know your intention. You may have a conscious layer of intention. The subconscious mind knows all the layers of your intention. And if unimpeded, will carry out the rearranging of reality to accomplish your desired goal. So basically, you give the train conductor your ticket, you go sit on your seat, and the train takes you to your destination. So compare it. Perhaps it is not the best comparison, but if you look at it that way, you do not have to tell the conductor how to run the train. You would certainly get a raised eyebrow. So you leave the job to the conductor. Train takes you from A to B, and then you get out. So similarly, you tell your subconscious your intention. I wish to perhaps recognize or rearrange the priorities of my beliefs so that the outcomes, the events and situations of my life are more enjoyable. And whatever beliefs, limiting or otherwise, that might impede my journey to find ways to communicate to me consciously through dreams, insights, inspiration, however it is done, that I can work on the issues. But other than that, you do not have to make any other difficult processes and make it more difficult or even dramatize it for yourself. Similarly, if you hire a contractor to build you a house, you do not begin to tell the architect how he should draw the plans. You give him an idea of what you want, and the architect will make it so that it matches your desire. Then the contractor comes into play and they dig the foundation. Now, of course, you also would not go to the contractor and say, well, I think you're digging this foundation wrong. You trust the process. You trust that all of the different laborers will come, they will build the foundation, they will build the structure, the infrastructure, they will build the walls, they will build the floors and the ceilings, and up to and including the roof. They will install the windows, they will install the wiring, they will install the plumbing, they will install the air conditioning system, whatever it is that you are using. And in the prescribed amount of time, you move into your new home. Does that also make some sense?
Yeah, I'm realizing that there's lots of
Indeed.
home metaphors for life.
Indeed. In fact, if you decide that you think the contractor should start building the roof first, what will happen? Chaos. It needs to be built from the ground up, not from the roof down, at least not in your system of reality.
So to use that, I guess go to my own example, I could have said, well, hey, I was supposed to find the less expensive housing situation that we really liked. I should have found that first before we needed the car. That would have been trying to, I
Indeed,
guess,
that is called
manipulate that situation.
putting the cart before the horse. It does not work very well. So, all in all, the process of trusting is extremely important. The same way, when you insert the key for the car into its proper position, turn it on so that the engine comes to life, you do not have to check the entire mechanisms of the car every morning to make sure everything still works. You just turn on the key, engine kicks, there you go.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
So we encourage you and everyone else to have some degree of confidence in the process itself. Your species has been using this process for thousands upon thousands, if not millions of years. You have an idea. The idea suddenly draws your attention. You are excited about it. How do you think the pyramids came into being? How do you think ancient civilizations came to be? Some people had ideas, discussed it, felt it was important. And this triggered various stages of growth and development in your civilizations. Entire cultures were built, established, and progressed in their own individual ways because you had a certain level of trust in the process that you can take ideas and give them reality. And that is what your species does, as do other creatures. But for you, it is to build civilizations. Beavers build dams. Bees make beehives and honey. Human beings create groups and civilizations. That is your speciality, if you like.
Well, Kris, I think we're going to take a little break here. So, any final thoughts with this episode?
When you are inspired to move in a particular direction, set your intention and trust the system that keeps motivating you. And don't check under the hood every 5 minutes to see how it is working. Trust the system to work. And we thank you for your consideration.
Thanks so much, Kris.